Well, hello. Welcome back to Cinema Sitdown. Today we watched The Fifth Element. It's a pretty interesting movie, if I do say so myself. We're going to talk about it here, but we'll talk about it right after this intro. What up? I am your host, Addie, and I am here today with...
I'm Nolan.
I'm Josh.
I'm Natalie.
I'm Madeline.
And we're going to talk about The Fifth Element. So I know that some of you guys have seen it before. I know you guys have seen it, and you guys have not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was a new experience for you guys, and then kind of coming back to...
Could probably quote this movie.
Right? Nah, I could definitely quote this movie. So I guess we'll just go down the line of what your initial impressions were about the movie. Since you guys have not seen it, I want to figure out what you guys think. So Madeline, we'll start with you.
I'm not usually a sci-fi person. Like, I've never, sat down and be like, I'm going to watch sci-fi. So I was a little bit worried when it popped up and I realized it was sci-fi. But then I actually really enjoyed it. I really found myself enjoying it, and I thought it was funny. I really enjoyed how it was funny, but there was also these really tender moments. So I liked that.
Yeah, I thought that it was going to be like an action, super serious, but it wasn't super serious. It was fun and different. And I was like, oh, this is good. I'm enjoying my time.
For me, this is a quintessential 90s movie. It's got cheesy dialogue, high-octane action, silliness. It's kind of what you look for when you look back at 90s action movies. So it gave you everything. I still enjoy it. Does it have its issues? Yeah, of course. What movie doesn't? But I still look back at this and laugh every time, especially Chris Tucker, which I'll get into in a little bit. It's probably my favorite character of the whole thing.
Yeah, I watched this for the first time I was 8 or 9, so I didn't really know what to expect because I didn't really know how to expect anything yet. But it made me very uncomfortable as an 8-year-old watching this with my parents. My dad was like, "Oh, this is one I remember going to the theater and seeing this," and so I was like, "Okay, it'll probably be good." And then I was scared the whole time.
You were 8 years old when you watched the movie?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Huh.
Yeah, no, he did a lot with a lot of.
Hey, I was 8 when I first saw this too.
Nice.
When it first came out.
When did you first?
Yeah, both of us are making great decisions.
I was about to say.
But yeah, I watched it again a few months ago and it was pretty good.
Yeah,
I liked it. I remember it was on at a hotel, so I didn't really have a whole lot of options, and so I was like, I might as well watch it. And then I was like, I don't remember this actually being cool, but it was. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad that you guys, at least what I am hearing, that you guys kind of like it, at least a little bit. I was really scared because this is a movie that I really hold dear to my heart, as you can see the stuff on the table. And so I was really afraid that someone was going to be like, no, this sucked. And I would be like, okay, and then just move on. I mean,
I was
about to say, I don't care if people don't really care for it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but were you going to say something?
Well, no, I mean, it definitely has its problems, but just like with anything, your favorite movie is your favorite movie no matter who likes it or doesn't like it. There's certain movies I'm sure I love that people look at me and scratch their heads that's not that good of a movie, but
exactly.
To me, I don't care. I enjoy the heck out of it. I find enjoyment from it.
Right.
And this one does it for me too. I can still, if I was chilling at home trying to find something to watch in the background, I could easily throw this on and enjoy it as I watch it. You know what I mean? It's one of those for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's okay. Sorry, I gotta calm down because I'm just gonna keep going on about it. But I want to get into next about the characters of the movie and maybe which one of them is your favorite, or maybe even that you can relate to. We'll start with you, Nolan.
Okay, I don't remember his name. But Gary Oldman's character is
Jean-Baptiste.
Right, that one. I thought he was super creepy. Yeah, and I thought the whole thing was creepy because I was a kid, but he specifically, I was like, oh, this is a scary dude. And his the thing with the plastic mask, and I just thought it was a really cool design. I thought most of the designs were really cool, but he specifically, I was like, this is a cool villain. And I like Gary Oldman in most things. So.
Well, if you talk about that's what I love Gary Oldman in anything. Yeah. I mean, the same year this came out is he played an antagonist in a movie called Air Force One with Harrison Ford.
Okay, yeah.
It's a completely different character than what it is, and that goes for me why what makes this movie enjoyable for me is Chris Tucker's character as Ruby. He just it makes you laugh every time, and I think it's hilarious because, like 2 years before this, he played a character called Smokey in Friday, which is a completely contrasting difference between what this character is and what that character is, which shows the range, I guess you could say, and what they, like, all these actors bought into this movie and, like, just transformed themselves in a sense, and that to me was my favorite. Not because there's not much depth to him by any stretch of imagination, but he keeps the movie, I will say, it was a little slow getting going, but, like, once he showed up for some reason, it just flew right by.
Yeah.
Because you found that like the enjoyment was fully there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think two characters that it's kind of dumb, but David, he was basically like the I don't know what you would call it, to like the priest, like the
son.
No, I don't even know. I don't
the-
even know if he was related or not. But like I was gonna say.
He tried to go on the trip with the girl.
Yeah, with how like nervous he was. I don't know why that I knew a kid back whenever I was younger that literally acted that way, and so I just loved how like every time he was like doing something and he'd like drop it or something like that. That was so funny. I also really liked Corbin though. Like,
of course.
I don't know.
Yeah. Bruce Willis.
You gotta like Corbin.
Who doesn't love Bruce Willis?
What about you, Natalie?
I like the opera singer the most.
Oh, the diva.
Yeah, I think exactly. And she was real for where she kept the stones, because like, bro, you're thinking ahead, like, period.
Right.
And then that song was really good. I thought that Corbin was gonna cry because they just kept going to his face so often, so I was like, oh, he's gonna cry, but he didn't cry, but he stood up, so I was like, that's good.
Yeah. What about you, Madeline?
Definitely Ruby. May I say black excellence, first off. Every single outfit was gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
He's just so funny, and also I just love that he was able to be so feminine, but also while being so masculine.
Yeah, I agree.
And I loved that. I loved that for him.
Yeah, it was definitely...
And he was a lady pleaser.
Yeah, that's what
Quite
I'm saying.
literally.
Quite literally. No, I totally agree, because it's like I kind of got like a Prince or like David Bowie vibe kind of thing. I don't know.
Definitely David Bowie.
So funny. So funny.
Oh, yeah.
I found out about like who Prince was after I watched this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, oh my god, that's the guy from The Fifth Element. Like, it was just like,
no way.
It's definitely backwards of how I was supposed to interpret it. But
that's really.
Well, growing up, this movie was really popular when I was growing up in the '90s, early 2000s. Like, you couldn't. I remember in school, you see plenty of kids just constantly.
That's so funny.
It was really quite big when I was growing up, so that's why he was always hilarious for me. Yeah. Always good character.
Oh yeah. What was your guys' favorite scenes in the movie?
I will say, well, he was my favorite character. My favorite scenes had a lot to do with Milla Jovovich. Yeah. This is the first, even though this is her breakout role. It saddens me. You really see her acting range. So any of the moments where she's like dramatic, anybody who can act their way to cry on command like that, to me is very talented. Like, who can actually do that? Because there's some actors who really have trouble doing that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you would agree or not, Madeline, but as an actor yourself, you know what I mean? So like, just seeing the authenticity of those dramatic roles, like crying like that, like to feel those emotions. Those are some of my favorite personally, because it brought you in. Like, you got the enjoyment from Chris Tucker's, but it really brought you in with the emotion, with her seeing it through her eyes, who's kind of like a she's new to this world, doesn't know it kind of thing. You know what I mean? So those are mine. What saddens me is that, you know, as she moved forward in her career, she's been a great, you know, Resident Evil franchise and that, but I just never saw that range from her as far as an actor that I wished I was seen in the future, you know, for her.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. What about you, Natalie? Let's go.
I liked the. I had it in my head and then I lost it. Yeah.
Okay,
more
go ahead.
I think my favorite scene was like the opera towards the end.
Yeah.
It just showcased everything I liked about the movie, and I feel like it kind of like condensed all the good things. Because overall, my favorite thing about the movie was just the design and the aesthetic of it, and I feel like that scene really kind of had everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember. I like the car chase scene in the very beginning, because that like brought us into the world, and I was like, damn. We looked up the budget earlier, and it's really high. So I was like, where's all the budget going? And I saw it throughout the movie, but I was like, damn, like this, like, you know, it was just setting the bar for what else was to come. So I was like, this is intense.
Didn't realize it was $90 million. That's crazy.
Whoa.
Right.
That
like,
is
but they had sponsors, so like McDonald's, Chanel.
Yeah, I was about to say.
My favorite scene was definitely like going off yours. the moment that Lilu falls into the cab, and they have like they meet for the first time, and I feel like it just really sets this tone for each of their characters and the relationship that they're going to have. Like, when that immediately happened, I was like, oh, they're gonna get together. But I felt like it also just showed a side of Corbin that was just so, like, it showed what his morals were.
Yeah.
Yep.
And who he was as a person.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think two of my favorite scenes was also the music fighting scene. I thought that it was so intense, and it was so, I don't know, I thought that was just really cool. It's a little funny because she's like flopping her arms and stuff like that, but it was, I don't know, like, it keeps you like kind of glued to like the screen, I feel like. That, and I'm just gonna be cheesy, but the ending scene when they're like right about to kiss, and then he does, and then I don't know, that I feel like that's like a pretty intense scene because they are both very, very vulnerable at this point. I mean, they're both exhausted, and you can tell that like Corbin wants to say it, but like he doesn't. He's like, he kind of fights back and forth. It's like, well, do I actually love her, or am I just like thinking that, you know? I don't know. I think that's pretty cool.
Because it set up his character overall. Like, he's went through a divorce, and now he's not sure he can love again, kind of thing, or if he even believes in it. And he meets this girl, and definitely it builds up from that moment.
Oh, most definitely.
And you made a good point there. Like, that's one of the reasons the fight scene there when it kept cutting back between the opera and Lilu fighting. This, to me, after rewatching it today, I realized why I enjoy it so much, and it's certain movies have a certain cadence to them, as far as like when scenes cut between one another, or when like sound design comes in to kind of match what's happening. Like, there's certain cadences that happen with certain movies. Like, I think John Wick is another one that comes to mind, where it's just kind of there. The cadence is there, and once you start to feel that cadence and you see it, it just makes it more enjoyable. Like, I don't know how else to describe it other than like. You kind of get what I'm saying, no? Because I saw you shaking your head a little bit.
Yeah, you just gotta get like sucked in by the rhythm.
The rhythm of the fighting, the rhythm of the motion and music. It just kind of it happens throughout the whole movie if you really pay attention. Yeah. Like, it's just kind of there. Yeah. It's just kind of there, and that to me is what I realized why I enjoy it, is because it has that.
Yeah. I agree. I think with going into that, there is a lot of like symbolism in this movie. What were symbolism? Any kind of symbol? I don't even know how to say that. Like, were there any symbolism that you noticed, I guess, in the movie?
One thing that I definitely noticed. Sorry, I wasn't sure if this was the thing that I had only noticed or if it was like on purpose. But I noticed, like, especially I guess kind of the middle, in the beginning, Lilu and Corbin were both wearing orange, and it seemed like nobody else was.
That's a really good
thing.
Considering
their hair was orange, he was wearing orange for like the full like first part that they were like kind of meeting. I just thought that was very interesting, and I felt like it just kind of, especially in the scenes that they were together, because they were like the bright orange, and then everybody else around them was kind of like muted compared to that neon orange. Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting to me.
Yeah. That's a really cool point. What about you, Natalie?
No? Symbolism. No, but my take, when they got the case, and then it was empty, and then they got another case and it was empty again, I was like, it's gonna be empty, and I was right, and I was like, that's so funny.
That is true.
The cadence.
Yeah.
Well, that symbolism is like you're trying to get what you want, but you're not always gonna get what you want, kind of thing. And
that's true.
So especially for him, since he was trying to get these stones so badly, but bad guys don't always win, kind of thing. And that's kind of, to me, the symbols there. To me, it's the very basic good versus evil, and that she, like, as the fifth element, I guess you can call it, it's like the divine being of all elements put together. Kind of, she was almost, I don't want to say like God almost, but like Jesus in a sense, from all the elements put together for her. So that to me is a very basic good versus evil, but it's nothing quite wrong. Even though it's a very basic thing, it's nothing wrong with that. And I think they do it in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say the orange thing.
Really? You noticed that too?
I was gonna say that.
Okay, I thought it was crazy.
Because it's such a specific orange. It's like, that's not the type of orange that actually gets made into real clothes. So it had to be like a deliberate choice.
That's crazy. Yep. The amount of times I've watched this, I don't feel like I made like that correlation. Like, I noticed that there was a lot more vibrant colors, but I just assumed because it's supposed to be like sci-fi, dystopian kind of thing. But that's really cool. Cool that both of you guys saw that. I kind of noticed, just one of the things is like, the circle of life, like foreshadowing that Zorg talks about. So like in the beginning when he's like, before he's choking on the cherry, and he talks about how like, oh, this is a circle of life, you know, kind of thing. And you notice throughout the movie that like first you meet this bad guy who, and then the main person is terrified, but then they meet another bad guy, then that guy's terrified, and it just kind of keeps going, almost showing that there's like the circle of life kind of like happening.
That's a good one.
But with speaking of like the colors and stuff like that, location design, what was your guys' like location that you were like, that was super cool, like I loved the way that they made everything?
See, that to me I feel like was where a lot of the budget went, because this is again, this is a 90s movie where CG wasn't a huge thing quite yet, and the CG is obviously used, and it's used quite a bit, but the set design for me is what really made the film transform into something different, like and make it feel futuristic. Like if you look at some of like the officers on like the ships and they're wearing like these weird headpieces, I'm like,
that's so weird.
You look at it practically, you're like, what's the point of all these little tubes that are coming out your? I mean, but it's a futuristic thing, and so or the trash that was in like the spaceport, like they didn't really quite go into that, but that was still a very interesting aesthetic choice. The ship, like all the places, and even going back to like a very basic temple, like really feeling the variety of this world. I think that to me is where the budget went, and it was a good choice as well. So I like that part.
I kind of, this may be basic compared to everything else, but I just like the skyline, like the city. Going there for the first time, like you were talking about the car chase scene where it like introduces you to the world. I just think it is really effective in doing that. I think it immediately sets it apart. It tells you this is where we are, this is when we are, this is what life is like. And on that same kind of vein, Corbin's apartment, from like the very, very beginning, tells you a lot about him and the world that he lives in. And it's just really efficient because they don't really draw like a whole lot of attention to it. It's just that it's so well designed that it doesn't really need attention drawn to, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the interesting part was like the fridge comes up from the ground, but then when it lowers, it becomes a shower. Like that part's really that was really interesting to me too. Yeah.
What were you guys?
See, I'm totally on you with tonight because like his apartment was my favorite thing. It was so like had so many memories, but at the same time he was so like lonely. Like it was so there was nothing there. Yeah. And my favorite part definitely was like the cat, and it got me thinking because he had like these fish, and it didn't even really seem like he liked the fish. It just seems like he had the fish there for the cat that he liked. Like it seemed like the cat was like his only joy in his life. Yeah. And that was the one thing in his apartment that brought him joy, but yet he still had all these memories of his career still there. Yeah. That were just kind of collecting dust. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Nelly.
You can say.
No, that I can relate to because, I mean, my time in the military, you have a lot of these different, awards and different things like that. Yeah, they're great to have, but they collect dust because the main thing is those memories. So, yeah, especially if you have any trauma that goes with some of those. Yeah, exactly. You have them there because you feel like you should have them there, but they're also, something you can try to avoid.
I like the hotel that they were staying at when everything was like, when he was like on the ground and he had to like jump and stuff. I was like, you got a better view of it. And also the takeout ship that showed up. Yes. I was just like, whoa, this is so creative. Like everything was just really creative. They're thinking outside the box.
I thought it was cool. Yeah. I think all of the designs like together in a way, they made it very like normal dystopian. Like, I mean, honestly, if you had watched this only a few years ago, it would make sense for all this stuff to be here now. Yep. Like, even when they went to the airport, the piles of trash that is there, you know what I mean? Yep. Like, that seems so realistic, even though that this is supposed to be a sci-fi.
Like the closest that comes to this would like be Blade Runner when it came out in the 80s. That's probably the closest is like a dystopian future like that.
Right. So, all right, so I think we need to talk about our final rating of what the movie is. So I don't know who wants to start, but
I would probably give this like a 7 or 8. Yeah. I think it's really great. I think it did a lot of things that were very interesting and very new at the time. The acting was good. The set design was really good. The design overall was good. It may have scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, but I have a big kind of appreciation for it now. So yeah, 7 or 8.
I'm gonna give it 7.5. I still enjoy it. Like I said, there's still stuff we could probably get into more, but we don't have much time left. As far as the problems I have with it, they're more just smaller things here and there, and structurally as well. Like, to me, the main antagonist, the planet, I guess you can call it, yeah, it gave a sense of urgency, but honestly, not to me. It was Gary Oldman's character who gave the urgency of the film, whereas he wasn't. So 7.5. Still love it. Still enjoy the heck out of it, and I'd watch it anytime.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I'm also gonna say 7 because I think they put the budget to work. Like every single penny, I saw it on the screen, so that was really good.
Another 7. Just like Dancing with the Stars. But I definitely really liked it. I wish that with like Corbin and Leilu's relationship was maybe a little bit more started out like softer in the beginning, so that at the end when they kissed it was really like yeah. But that was really like my main thing. I also wish we could have had more diva time because who is that diva?
I know. Oh, I agree. I will probably give it a 9.5.
Of course.
I'm not fully a 10 because, like I said, there are some stuff that I'm like, that's a little weird. That's kind of cheesy, kind of thing. But overall, it's one of my favorite movies. But I'm so glad we got to talk about this. Thank you so much for joining Cinema Sit Down. Hopefully we can see you next week. Thank you. Bye.